going on, everybody? Hope you're having a good Sunday so far. Tom just got back from the bar, so I don't know what went down over there because he hasn't been around. He hasn't been home that long.
Just normal shit. We're gonna do Pulp Fiction. Fucking great movie. Saw it last night.
Yeah, I've seen it several times, but I actually haven't seen it for several years.
I saw it a bunch of times. Haven't seen it for like 20 years, probably.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's a good movie.
Louis sent us that one as well, along with Reservoir Dogs.
Yep, back in the collection.
Yeah.
It's movie held up. It held up. It's actually better now than it was. Yeah, it's me.
It has, surprisingly, even though this came out all the way back in 1994, when I was only 4 years out of high school, for Christ's sake, it really has not dated at all.
No, I think it's gotten better.
I think it has as well. Yeah. Like I said, I'm pretty sure, I think I saw it in the theater when it came out. And I've seen it, like I said, subsequently many times since then, and I always like it better each time. But watching it again last night, I just, after not a long time not seeing it, I'm really familiar with it, but it always just, every time I watch it, it always, it delights me anew, you know what I mean? Just because it's so funny, and it's just, full of energy. Yeah. And I don't know, it's just, such a great, I love the structure of it. You know
energy.
What I mean?
That's a good way to put it.
Yeah, it's a very. I mean, you can tell this was a passion project. Yeah. This was something everybody was really enthusiastic about. Nobody looks like they're phoning it in. Nobody looks like they're not having a good time. Everybody just looks like they put 110% into this.
Yeah, and it's like watching 4 movies. They're all kind of interwoven with each other, and they're jumping around. It's good. It's good.
Yeah. Well, the initial idea, I don't know if you know, but Quentin Tarantino wrote this with his friend Roger Avery, and what they were planning on doing initially was, the Italian horror anthology movie Black Sabbath that has Boris Karloff and stuff. Yeah. It's 3 stories. That's what he was planning to do. He was going to do one like that, but it was going to be called Black Mask, and it was going to be 3 stories, based on old crime, Pulp magazines, right? Yeah. So that's kind of what they started to do. So actually Roger Avery, his friend, wrote the gold watch thing, about, the boxer and all of that kind of stuff. And they kind of want to do, because Quentin Tarantino, and it's funny that, like I said, when we were talking about Reservoir Dogs, he's not the first person that that shot a movie and they showed it out of order. I mean, now it's really common, a lot of people do it. It was a lot rarer back in the 90s to do it. I think it made a really big impact that it was shot out of that it was not in chronological order. And he said that he wanted it to be more novelists do that all the time, where you have 3 different stories going on, for example, but they're all kind of interrelated, and they don't have to necessarily be in chronological order. And a lot of people, too, have pointed out that, particularly this movie and Reservoir Dogs, it almost plays more like a real good album than a narrative story. Yeah. You know what I mean? So, yeah. Which I kind of feel that was on purpose, especially as integrated as music is into his films. I feel he wants to do it he's more interested in, I guess, the dramatic impact, the thematic impact of it, rather than showing things happening in the way they happened in real life.
Because he'll show you the end first, and then stop it, and then go back, and then show you how it got to that, and even the end that he showed you wasn't the end. There was a resolution to the end. Yeah. Later on, that's kind of what the movie is all about. But it doesn't really matter. It's just, you watch it and you have a good time, and you get to know the characters and their stories and what happens to them. And even as important as a character may be, they still kind of have fucking a fucked up end. The one character that John Travolta plays. He's a main character.
Yeah, Vincent Vega.
Yeah, Vincent Vega. And he dies because he forgot because he was taking a crap.
Yeah. Well, if you notice, throughout the film, every time he's in the bathroom, bad shit happens. Yeah. You know what I mean? Because, he was in the bathroom, when Pumpkin and Honey Bunny started, holding up the diner. Yeah. He was in the bathroom. Or actually, there was another guy in the bathroom, when they came in that apartment to like fuck with those dudes about taking the briefcase. It's like, so every time he's in the bathroom, something bad. Oh, when he was in the bathroom at Mia Wallace's house when Uma Thurman's character like OD'd. Yeah,
going to the bathroom was his weakness. I guess
at like the worst possible time.
Because he went to the bathroom, and fucking he made it until the one time he goes to the bathroom and he comes out, and the dude he was there to kill, who was a boxer, he left his fucking suppressed Mac 10.
See, I don't think that was his. I think that was Ving Rhames'. That was Marcellus Wallace's gun.
Maybe.
Because they were both supposed to be there.
They were both supposed to be there?
But see, when Butch left the apartment, he sees Marcellus walking across the street, right? That's how they kind of get back. Like, they see each other. He had left to go get some donuts or some shit like that, and he left his gun on this. So that actually wasn't...
It wasn't
that
Vincent's
wasn't Vincent's, no.
I got you.
I had thought that, too, but then, like, when I was thinking about it, I was like, no, that was actually Marcellus's gun. Because he had gone out to go get coffee and donuts because he was crossing the street. Like,
right.
So I think, like, the cool thing about the movie, too, is that it all hinges on little... coincidences like that, which kind of goes into, I guess, like the greater theme. It's not a super deep movie or anything like that, but it does kind of go into like a greater theme of like things happening by chance, or and there's that whole thing about redemption and divine intervention, particularly with Samuel L. Jackson's character.
Sam Jackson fucking knocks it out of the park in this movie. This is the movie that brought Sam Jackson to my notice. I noticed him because of this movie when it came out. It was like, I didn't realize he was the same dude from Coming from America. Remember that? He was in Coming to America.
Yeah, very briefly. It was like a cameo.
Yeah, he robbed McDougal's.
That's right.
Yeah.
Yeah, he was in it for like 30 seconds.
30 seconds. Yeah. But this movie kind of, in my mind, cemented him as a character. I was like, God damn, that's a cool dude.
Well, like I said, he was supposed to be. Well, he auditioned for Reservoir Dogs, but he didn't get it, right. And so then like he ended up being. I think he'd been in stuff before this, but I think this was kind of his start. The thing about this movie is that, I mean, the cast of this, I had just forgotten how it's like every fucker is in this. And it's, hard to imagine now too, because Uma Thurman was like so famous, but she'd been in other things before this too, but this was definitely the movie that catapulted her onto the A-list for sure.
Yeah.
And Bruce Willis, he was probably the most famous motherfucker in this at the time. Yeah. And him being in it, actually, I think that's what helped the movie get like kind of worldwide distribution, because he was so bankable, like from his action movies and stuff, like all over the world because of all that.
Yeah.
So I think in the initial version of the script, I think the boxer character was supposed to be like a young guy, like an up and coming guy. But when they decided to have like Bruce Willis in it, they decided to make him kind of like a little bit older, like over the hill.
And he wasn't that old, actually.
Yeah, he's not. But I mean, for a boxer.
For a boxer, maybe.
I guess for a boxer. Like, for any kind of athlete, it's probably, like, older. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
But, I mean, this just, like, because I've been watching, like, other people's, like, breakdowns, analysis, and stuff like that. It's like, this movie is just so iconic that there's even... I had actually never heard this, but there's actually, like, all kind of fan theories. The very famous, MacGuffin of the briefcase.
The briefcase.
That they never show you what's in there.
Yeah.
The most, as far as I know, the most common fan theory about that is that what's in there is Marcellus Wallace's soul. Well, because of those scenes where he has like the Band-Aid on the back of his head, and like they never say what that is. And I guess there's a thing where it's like when they take your soul out, like we sell your soul to the devil, they take it out the back of your head. Yeah. In reality, he just like cut his head shaving it, like for the role. And then Quentin Tarantino liked the Band-Aid so much that he just kept like focusing on it.
Yeah, well, I never really took it as that watching the movie. I always thought it was either some kind of drugs or gold. But couldn't have been gold, because gold would have weighed a lot.
That's what I was thinking. Initially, I would have thought, well, it's gold bars. It's gold bars, but it would have been too heavy to like carry it around, because they were just carrying it around.
I thought it was some kind of drugs, like a fucking whole briefcase filled with cocaine or something. It was something that was weird. It's definitely a MacGuffin, but we're good.
But that's why I liked that they never showed what was in it. You know what I mean? Richard Brown said not Tarantino's ego. No, I don't think anyone. Well, you know, you might be the first one to say that. But that was kind of like the most common one.
Tarantino's in this movie and that bitch can't act.
I know. Actually, Robert Rodriguez directed him in that scene.
He can't act.
But, well...
He got better as he went on.
He can't, but... I don't know, like, for that role, like, it works. It doesn't bother me.
Ugh.
But, yeah, he's not an actor.
No.
Well, as you notice, like, he was in...
He did get better.
Yeah, but he was in his movies less and less, like, as time went on. So it seems like his ego wasn't that big. He wasn't, like, Neil Breen level or anything, where he's just, like, putting himself as a godlike figure.
A godlike figure who's the lead.
Everybody's like... Stick with screenwriting and directing, Quentin. Those are your strengths. Acting, not so much. But I don't know. I do like him in this movie, but he's not believable.
No.
I mean, it's very, very obvious that that's just Quentin Tarantino.
There's a lot of shit.
Like, yay, I'm in a movie. You know what I mean?
There's a lot of shit in the movie that's cool that is not believable. Okay, like the wolf.
Well, yeah.
Like the wolf. Okay. They call Harvey Keitel and he's the wolf, right? And he's the special man to help them because they accidentally killed the fucking dude in the back.
Or Marvin.
Marvin
blew his
by
head
accident. All right. They need him to show up to tell them to clean the car. I'm like, I'm watching this shit and I'm going, well, like, Jenny, hold on. Did he just tell them to clean the car?
Yeah.
They had this special motherfucker they had to call this special motherfucker out of the woodwork. The mafia had to come and show up and tell them to clean the car.
Pretty much. And put quilts over the seats.
Quilts. That was his whole... I was like, that anybody would have come up with that shit. Put the dude in the trunk, clean the car, hide the upholstery. Okay.
Well, now, I will note that he did
stick.
have the connection for Monster Joe's junkyard.
Yeah.
Where you go and dispose of the bodies. You know what I mean? Which maybe the low-level hitmen don't have that. Because I kind of feel like Harvey Keitel's, like, you know, Winston Wolfe. He's kind of, like, higher up, so he's got all those connections.
It was still hilarious.
I know, but like I said, that's
a good scene.
I mean, the thing about the movie, though, is it's supposed to be, like, a black comedy. Like you said, it's not really supposed to be realistic. Yeah. The thing that I like about it, that I think a lot of people responded to, was that, much like in Reservoir Dogs, that we were talking about that before, how it's about a heist, but you never see the heist. This movie is kind of like that, but like writ large. It's kind of like all of the big things that happen in the movie, like a lot of the heists, a lot of the major things that are referred to, like, for example, Bruce Willis's character, like, killing the other boxer, like, in the fight.
Ring. Yeah.
They don't show it. Yeah. They just, like, show, like, the aftermath. So it's almost kind of like you're just watching the, like, fringes of the life, like, around big events that would normally be like big set pieces in other movies. You know what I'm saying? It's kind of like he's just showing how, you know, like I said, in most other movies, it would be just like these big action sets. But this guy like killed a guy boxing, or this guy did that. You know, these people like took the, you know, those kids in the apartment that took Marcellus's briefcase, like shit like that. They would show that stuff. But this, they just all show, like, the aftermath or, like, the shit that's going around the outside of it. And
they show enough, though.
Right.
They show enough. I mean, Zed and the Gimp.
Yeah.
Fucking, man, that shit is awesome. Fucking, you okay, man? No, man. I'm far from fucking alright.
Ving
Rhames fucking knocked it out of the park. Everybody in the movie fucking knocks it out of the park. It does have a special gestalt to this movie. I mean, it's just like everybody in this movie is fucking going like, yeah, this is a good movie. Let's fucking knock this shit out of the park. I mean, it's a fun movie to watch.
I mean, the ensemble is amazing. Like I said, this movie single-handedly brought back the career of John Travolta.
Yeah, it did.
Which, I mean,
I remember.
Because, I mean, you know, obviously he was real big in the 70s, and he was still in stuff, like, in the 80s and stuff, but he was more, like, in kind of, like, shitty-ass movies.
Yeah.
And this, like, made him an A-list star again.
Yeah.
And, like I said, it made a huge star.
He was doing action movies after this.
Right. It's like, it made a huge star out of Uma Thurman. Yeah. It was just kind of like, fun fact about the whole that whole basement rape scene there was that originally Tarantino wanted the music playing over that scene to be My Sharona. Which, I don't know, that might have changed it tonally a little bit.
That'd been cool.
I guess they couldn't They didn't. They ended up not using it because that movie Reality Bites came out the same year, and that had a big scene of the girls in the convenience store like dancing to that song. And also, apparently, one of the members of the Knack had since become a born again Christian and was not like super happy about about it being over an anal rape scene, which you know. But I was watching another thing too about how many instances of the F word, of the word fuck, are in this. It was something like 258 or something like that. It was like some amazing amount. I guess I didn't really notice all that much because, like I said, I swear a lot too, so it's just kind of like another word to me. But apparently when this came out, I mean, this pretty much immediately, because we were talking about this a little bit when we were talking about Reservoir Dogs too, but about how that like had a big impact. But I mean, obviously, because this was so much more successful, like mainstream successful, this had a massive impact on Hollywood just across the board. I mean, a lot of people that were around at that time, I remember being around at that time, and people were just like, it was just like a fucking, like a cultural juggernaut, you know what I mean? It's not only was immediately like one of the coolest movies ever, but it's easily, I don't even think anybody would argue with you if you said it's the most influential film of the 90s. I mean, as soon as this came out, like there was fucking rip-off films, American crime films, British crime films. There's like a whole subgenre of movies that were supposed to be like this movie. I mean, it just came out and it just blew the fucking doors off. And it also changed a lot of the... Because remember I was saying before, like, before indie films, like some of them sometimes got nominated for Oscars or got like a lot of mainstream success or something, but not to the extent that it happened after Pulp Fiction. And there was a thing too where like A-list movie stars would now go back and forth. Like they'd be like in some big tentpole movie and then they'd be like in a little indie movie, and it wasn't as odd anymore. I kind of feel like it was more delineated like before this movie came out, because this movie cost $8.5 million to make and made over $200 million, and it won the Palme d'Or at Cannes, the highest thing. Like it got pretty much almost universal praise, like immediately, like right out of the gate. Got nominated for a whole bunch of Oscars. Very famously lost to Forrest Gump of all things, which is shitty because Pulp Fiction came out the same day as another awesome movie that should have won at the Oscars, The Shawshank Redemption. Yeah. Both of these movies came out the same fucking day, and they both got nominated for Best Picture, and they both lost to Forrest Gump, which...
Forrest Gump's a good movie, but...
I liked it at the time, but...
It didn't age as well as
It didn't age very well. Yeah. It really didn't, and it doesn't hold... I mean, this movie absolutely holds up. It does not seem... This movie does not seem to me like it came out in the 90s. It seems like it could have come out yesterday, to be honest with you. And last time I saw Shawshank Redemption, I kind of had the same feeling about that. Like, it doesn't seem dated at all. The thing about Forrest Gump, though, is I think that because it relies so much on special effects, because, like, the whole, gimmick of it was, oh, look, we're putting, Forrest Gump into, like, all of these big, historical events. And... So, it was 1994, so it's like the special effects were good for the time, but they don't really look that great anymore. And it's just so... It's so treacly, and it's just so boomery, Yeah. In a way...
This was a lot more X-Gen.
Yeah, this one is a lot... Yeah. I mean, I don't think anybody would argue. This was a lot cooler. So I think, like, a lot of people were mad that Forrest Gump, like, beat out this movie, because this movie was obviously way more influential on filmmaking as an art form.
Yeah, it's got a lot of fake gangster shit in it, but it is cool. It's a fun movie. It knows what it is. It calls itself what it is. It's pulpy. It's just pulp gangster fiction. It's a great flick. I like it. Fun. I mean, somebody's in the comment section fucking talking about some of the cringy shit that's in it. You know what I mean? Fucking Tarantino in his house playing a fake fucking character, talking about dead nigga storage and shit. It's just that shit went on forever. It was funny, okay? You could not do that today, all right? But it was funny because you knew it was cringy shit.
Yeah,
it was
I think
cringy
that's
shit back then.
That's why I allow it, because it's like
it was supposed to be a throwback to another era, even in the day that it came out.
I mean, he's homaging
a bunch
movies
of old
all over the
Yeah.
place. I mean, there's just like little because Quentin Tarantino knows more about like old movies.
Yeah.
Shit, even the famous speech, you know, the biblical quote that Samuel L. Jackson's character gives, which is actually not exactly from the Bible. It's from an old like kung fu movie. It's from a Sonny Chiba movie. Yeah. That's where he got that from. It's not from the Bible.
Yeah, and there's some just classic shit. Fucking Samuel L. Jackson's character's talking about, that's it, I'm going to retire, I'm going to walk the earth. And just get involved in adventures like Kane from Kung Fu. and fucking John Travolta's character that he's playing, what's his name again? What's John Travolta's character again?
Vincent Vega.
Vincent, yeah. Vincent is like, dude, walking around, living, fucking having adventures, that's a bum. You're talking about being a bum.
Yeah.
You're going to become a bum. It's homeless, being a bum. And he's like, no, you're going to call it whatever. But then, no, that's exactly what it would be.
Yeah.
Bums walk the earth. Okay?
Pretty much.
Fucking, that's what bums are doing. Walking the earth. Having adventures. It's just an awesome movie. You know what I mean?
I mean, all of their conversations, like I said, I know why, you know, Tarantino gets such a great... I mean, he gets like so many accolades like for his screenwriting and stuff. And I know that Roger Avery like helped him write the screenplay. Like they co-wrote the screenplay on this one as well. But I mean, he really does have a great fucking way with dialogue.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? I mean, that's really his strength. And like just bringing characters to life. You know what I mean? Like I said, and they're not realistic necessarily, but they're larger than life. You know what I mean? And they're meant to be that way. Zach says, I still think my favorite movie from 1994 was Shallow Grave. Oh shit, that's a great fucking movie. We should probably review that at some point. You probably never seen it, have you? Mm-hmm. Oh, it's good. I used to have it on DVD, but I don't know what happened to it actually. Yeah, Gramthars, this is a good analogy. He says, this did to movies what Nirvana did to rock music.
Yeah, that's a good
and it happened like, right, I mean, Nirvana, that was earlier, that was 1991, but it was like pretty much the same thing where it was just, it was one thing, and it just changed everything. It
busted the
everything.
floodgates. You busted the floodgates open. It's like crashing through the fucking glass door.
Yeah.
And they're like, okay, we can do whatever now.
Yeah.
It was a cool flick, and in a time you couldn't believe you were seeing it. It had changed the paradigm. It did. And you go back and watch it, and it is still it is a cool movie. It's fun.
It's still hilarious.
Yeah.
Like, all of it is still, like, funny.
Yeah. Now, later on, he started doing movies that I thought were just ridiculous. They didn't change the paradigm. But Tarantino came back to kind of his senses and started to do shit that was also real cool. But this movie, in its place and time, it did change the paradigm.
And I still think it holds up.
Yeah,
I mean, watching it again last night, I had a fucking blast.
It's better now than it was.
Like, rewatching it. And to me, it seems like it is not dated at all. It's still funny. It still seems very fresh.
There's something about it. You watch it now, and you're like, you miss this in modern movies. You're like, yeah, this is the way it is.
Well, and this kind of happened, this happened with Nirvana, too, since we're going with that analogy, is that... it comes out and like it's this big, iconic moment, and like but then everybody starts ripping it off. Yeah. And then after a while, you're so sick of all the rip-offs and everything like that it's like you go back and watch the original thing and it doesn't seem all that special anymore because now you've seen like all the things that were pale imitations of it. Yeah. But
not this one though.
No, not that. And like and I like Lion X Warrior said Guy Ritchie, the British filmmaker, has been ripping off Tarantino style for decades. Yeah, I kind of feel like a lot of American filmmakers did too, like in the wake of this. I was even reading like on Wikipedia, there was like some film scholars or film teachers or something, and they said, shit, man, like the year after Pulp Fiction came out, it's like every student film we got was like a Pulp Fiction like pastiche. You know what I mean? Like they had elements of that in it. Everyone was like ripping it off. But I think the British in particular, because they have such a long tradition of like crime films and stuff, I kind of feel like they jumped on that train and like rode it hard. And some of those movies were really good, actually, the British ones. But, this was like kind of, like I said, Reservoir Dogs was kind of like the first one, but I kind of feel like maybe a lot of people didn't see Reservoir Dogs until after this got hugely famous and got nominated for Oscars and Golden Globes and everything like that, and just made this massive impact. You know what I mean? Gramthars says, question, would Tom ever ask one of his friends to be good company to Jenny if he went out of town for a few days?
No. No, I'd never asked Steve to do it. Steve would try to fucking get up in it. Like, I know better.
He'd be giving me a foot massage.
Better. None of my friends would fucking be... No, hell no. They're all predatory back in the day.
Yeah.
Yeah. But we'd have to trade. We'd have to trade. If he had a real...
If it was a trade.
If it was a trade,
right.
if he had a real hot wife or girlfriend or something like, okay, well, we're going to trade for a while. Then that might be different. But, everybody would have to be up on it. Everybody had to know what the deal was.
And where do you come down on the whole foot massage situation? Because
foot massage is intimate, I think. You shouldn't be massaging people's feet.
See, I kind of think that too.
Yeah,
it's like, I know that they were having this whole discussion, and it's like there were good points on each side.
But it didn't happen according to her.
Well, no.
All right.
But I'm just saying, just from a theoretical standpoint.
Massaging feet.
Yeah, that's a little bit. And I thought that was funny, where Samuel L. Jackson Jules, that's his character's name. Yeah. He was all like, he thought that Marcellus was overreacting, like by throwing that guy out of the fourth floor window for massaging his wife's feet. But then, Vincent makes the very salient point. He's like, well, would you massage another man's feet? He's like, I'm kind of tired. I could use a foot massage now. And then he wouldn't do it. Yeah. So he's like, he just kind of like proved his point. I was like, yeah, exactly. It is kind of like, I'm the foot fucking master, says Joel.
And they were obviously lying. Those characters were obviously lying.
Well, yeah. That's what was funny about. I've given millions of foot massages.
Yeah. I love foot massage, this and that. They're fucking lying. But that's something that Tarantino would do. His fucking foot fetish ass. In his movies, his characters would also be all into feet, probably, or at least lie about being into feet. But people are going like, well, Tarantino rips shit off. Yeah, but he knows it.
Well, and he's not making a secret about it either. Yeah. I mean, and I'm fine with that.
Stuff, and he likes old stuff.
I'm fine with that.
He'll fucking kind of rehash it and reboot everything.
I mean, in interviews, he's very open about, hey, I got this idea from this movie, and I got this idea. I mean, like, the dance scene in this, like, he got from, I think the movie Kiss Me Deadly. Like I said, the whole concept for the movie came from Black Sabbath, the horror anthology. Yeah. So it's like he's not making any secret about it, which, like I said, that's fine with me. If you're when
Tarantino's on, he's on.
Yeah. Yeah.
When he's off, I don't like him. But when he's on, he's on.
Yeah, I mean, some of his, like everything else, like his movies vary in quality, but he's made a lot, so it's just kind of like... But watching this one again last night, I remember really liking this one. Like I said, I saw it several times, like back in the 90s and 2000s, but I hadn't seen it for a very long time. But watching it again, I was like, I forgot this is a great fucking movie. I mean, I forgot what a great movie
this was. It's up there with Once Upon a Time in Hollywood.
Yeah, I mean, just like I love the narrative structure of it. I just love the character interactions, like the dialogue. Everything about it is appealing, and like I said, it just has so much energy to it. All the characters are appealing and funny, and it's just like a good time, like watching. And it's long; it's like 2.5 hours. Yeah. But it doesn't seem like it because you're just having such a good time hanging out with these people. Yeah. You know what I mean?
And that's kind of the way Once Upon a Time in Hollywood was.
Yeah, I had a blast with that movie too. That's also really long. Actually, it might be longer than Pulp Fiction now that I'm thinking about it.
It's long, but you don't really mind because you like watching it.
Yeah, I think we saw that in the theater twice, didn't we?
Yeah, and I got the Blu-ray.
I think that one's almost 3 hours.
Yeah.
But I didn't mind that at all either because, like I said, the only reason that I would have an issue with a movie being long is if it didn't need to be that long, or if it was like boring or something like that. But when it's hanging out with people that are interesting and you actually kind of want to hang out with the people, then it just kind of seems like you're hanging out with your friends or whatever, you know what I mean? Or you're just hanging out with interesting people. So it doesn't seem like it's taking that long of a time.
Tarantino's zaniest movie that I'm still on board with would have been like Death Proof. Death Proof is pretty fucking zany.
Yeah,
but I can still watch it. It's a good movie.
Yeah.
Good. I'd rather take this though. I'd take this one or Once Upon a Time in Hollywood. I think Once Upon a Time in Hollywood's this is a masterpiece, but Once Upon a Time in Hollywood is also a masterpiece.
I think those two are his best movies.
Yeah, I think so.
I would like to rewatch Jackie Brown, although I'm pretty sure
You haven't seen that? I don't think I've seen that.
it's good, but the thing about it, it's actually Jackie Brown is really good, but I think it's based on a novel. I think isn't it based on an Elmore Leonard novel? Maybe can somebody like correct me of that? I thought it was. So it's not his original creation. So he doesn't have quite the same investment in it, I guess, as he would like in his own screenplay. But I still remember liking it a lot, like seeing Tarantino like, you know, kind of interpreting somebody else's work. But that's another one that I've been wanting to rewatch because I haven't seen that one in a really long time. You know, but I mean, Pulp Fiction and Once Upon a Time in Hollywood and Reservoir Dogs are his best ones. The other ones, I like to varying degrees. And we should probably do, like I said, some of the ones that he wrote the screenplays for, like True Romance, and he wrote the screenplay for what the fuck is that movie with fucking Woody Harrelson in that minute?
Yeah.
Oh my god, I just totally blanked.
Natural Born Killers.
Thank you. Yeah. Man, getting old sucks, you guys.
Yeah. No, we got a lot of stuff going around in our heads.
Yeah.
A lot of movies and fucking a lot of shows.
Gramthars says, we used to have a saying, you can trust a fellow cop with your life, but never leave your lunch or your girlfriend alone with him. Man, he'll even steal your lunch? That's pretty low.
Yeah, donuts and fucking sandwiches and apples. Yeah.
I feel like every workplace has one person that will steal people's lunches.
Yeah. Well, they're not eating.
Who
Who
does that?
Their refrigerator is fucking empty.
Apparently, a lot of people do that because there's always one motherfucker that does it, like at every workplace I've ever worked at, and it's like we never could like ferret out who it was.
Yep.
But I'm just like, man, that is the lowest of the low. You don't steal somebody's lunch, okay? I mean, you don't steal their girlfriend either, but I'm just saying. Dana Rowling said frosted cinnamon Pop-Tarts are the shit and also deadly, apparently. Yeah, I think those were they were off-brand Pop-Tarts. I don't even think they were actual Pop-Tarts that he put in the movie where he put
I didn't notice
the Pop-Tarts in the thing
I love them.
Like while Vincent was in the bathroom.
I love Pop-Tarts.
And they popped out, and that's what scared him, and he ended up shooting them. See, but they were the store brand. They weren't even like Pop-Tarts. You know what I mean? Yeah. Ben says the only good movie Tarantino made, apart from Pulp Fiction, was The Quick and the Dead. Fight me. Well, I don't want to fight you.
I don't remember that one.
But I don't think I saw that one, actually. Gramthars said the only thing dated is a white guy saying the N-word over and over. That was then, wouldn't be accepted now. Yeah, and...
It was dated then, though.
It was dated then. That's what I would argue that, like, even back then, people were just kind of like, okay. You know what I mean? So that's kind of like... But that's the reason why it works, because it's, like, supposed to be cringy. Yeah. I kind of feel like, you know what I mean? Like, he's trying to be terribly cool and not really succeeding in it. Yeah. But it's just kind of like, I don't know. It's a very self-aware performance, and I think that's the only thing that keeps it from being, you know what I mean?
Yeah. He's trying to be cool, and it's just not cool, and that's it.
Well, yeah,
he's a nerd.
But I think he's a nerd. Well, he's aware that he's a nerd.
Yeah,
he wears like that badge with pride.
It's kind of like Stephen King trying to be in his own movies. I mean, Stephen King should not be in his own fucking movies.
Hey, I'll go to bat for Creepshow.
Yeah.
The Lonesome Death of Jordy Verrill.
And
a lot of people don't like that. So I thought he was fucking great in that. Like playing just like a dumb
Quentin, his nerdy ass tries to show up in a hardcore gangster movie that he wrote. Okay. Yeah. And he's trying, it's cringy. It's fucking cringy. And you're supposed to go, man, but you know that's what he was trying to do.
But like I said, I'm pretty sure that he was aware that that's how it would be perceived, and that was like, I think that's like part of the joke.
Well, his movies, he's making movies that are supposed to be B movies.
Right.
It's supposed to be a B movie.
They're very self-referential.
He's supposed to be basing his movies on B movies.
Right.
So it's a B movie based on other B movies. And
that's how he gets. That's how he gets away with it.
Yeah, that's kind of the shit that you'd see in a movie based on B movies.
And like I said, I think he gets away with just the whole entire structure of his movies and stuff like that too, just because he's very open about all the stuff that he's homaging. Like I said, he's not trying to pretend that he's some big genius that came up with this, that, and the other thing. He's saying, no, I got this from that movie because I loved that when I was a kid, and I got this from this movie. It's like, you know what I mean? He loves that shit, and he just wears it on his sleeve.
This movie solidified the cool of Sam Jackson. It
definitely did.
He's the coolest thing in the fucking movie.
Every scene, he's so fucking great at this. He's so fucking great at this.
And in a weird way, fucking John Travolta's cool as fuck in this movie, too. He's very cool in this movie. And the
two of them together are just, like, fantastic. I love the chemistry.
Which Travolta's not really a cool dude in real life, but I don't think... No. Fucking Sam Jackson is probably much cooler in real life. But
well, I can't imagine Sam Jackson not being cool.
Yeah, there's something about... These movies made Samuel L. Jackson. You know.
Do you know that in this movie he was supposed to have a big ass afro?
Yeah, it was funny. We were watching. Me and Jenny were looking at his hair, and I was laughing. I said, "Look at his hair. His fucking hair was kind of like a fucking mullet. It was.
It's a Jerry curl.
It was like a Jerry curl mullet, and this shit was cringy then. It was cringy then.
Apparently,
it was supposed to be.
The story I heard.
Yeah.
Was that originally he was supposed to have a big ass afro. That was what Tarantino wanted, because he was, you know, he's homaging like blaxploitation movies because he's a big fan of blaxploitation movies. So I don't know if this is true, but the story I heard was that they sent one of the like prop people or something like that, who was apparently white as fuck, out to get some afro wigs, and they came back with like a Jerry curl situation. Tarantino was kind of bad, being like, what the fuck is this all about? This isn't an afro. Yeah. But then, like, when Sam Jackson put it on, he's like, no, this is good. Yeah. he's like, and Tarantino's like, yeah, you're right. That is good. Well, because...
It's like a fucking Afro-American version of a fucking mullet. Okay.
Well, I think, because Sam Jackson pointed out that he's like, I think, was it... Man, shit. Who was it that was like real big at that time? Was it? I want to say it was maybe NWA or something like that. Mm-hmm. And one of them had like some Jerry curl kind of situation. So it was that kind of thing. So he was just like, no, this is gonna work. You know what I mean? It'll be better than like having a big. And I think it does, because that hairstyle, like as cringe as it looks like, he pulls it off.
Yeah, I don't think that shit badass.
I don't think anybody else would have, but because it's Samuel L. Jackson. Like,
what was the best part of the movie is when they show up to the fucking white boys' houses, the ones that try to steal the briefcase, and they go, "What time is it?" And he goes, "It's 7:45. It's not time. We'll wait, because there was a time. I guess they
let's hang back."
And then just hang back, and then they fucking talk to each other, and they go, "Okay, let's go get into character." They got to get into character to go in there and to fucking go in there and kill motherfuckers. It's a great scene. And probably a lot of truth in it.
Eating that guy's kahuna burger and
drinking his Sprite. Kahuna burger, yeah. And he just shoots that one dude for laying down on the couch.
And he calls him flock of seagulls.
Yeah. Flock of
seagulls. Which, like, all the fucking... I think that's why, again, I think that's why this works. And I know this may be going to sound like out of left field, but I think that's why... stuff like Mystery Science Theater is still funny all these years later, because all of their references that they made were old back then, like when they made them, so they don't really date the same way as, you know, like, for example, a movie that came out in the 90s that was making references to very 90s things, and like now you're just like, oh Jesus, you know what I mean? But I remember that. But if you're referring back to like shit from like the fucking, you know, turn of the century or like the 50s or the 60s or something like that, that's not going to date necessarily, because, you know, you're referring to like older shit.
And they asked the black dude, remember that fucking, why didn't you tell us somebody was in the bathroom? Come on, let's go. And he's going with him, and then they're friends with him, and then they accidentally shoot him. It's just some funny shit.
It is just, and that scene was apparently supposed to be different too. I heard that initially they weren't just supposed to shoot him in the face and like blow his head off, like happens in a movie. Marvin, that character's name is. Originally in the script, they were just going to shoot him in the throat, and it didn't kill him right away. And then, like, later on, they decided, oh, well, we're going to have to, like, he's going to die, so we're going to put him out of his misery. But apparently, John Travolta argued, he's like, well, I think that would make our characters less sympathetic, like, just shooting him in the head, like, while he was still alive. So he's like, I don't know if John Travolta recommended that, or if the actor that played Marvin recommended that, like, because I've heard two stories. But they said plus it would be like way funnier, like in a fucked up kind of black comedy kind of way, if they just accidentally like blew his head off in the fuck, and just the whole like the way that Vincent and Jules like bitch at each other while they're cleaning the car. Yeah. It just fucking cracks me up. Like Sam Jackson, like in the backseat, like picking bits of brain and like skull off the shit.
I just thought the shit was funny that they have to fucking call Mr. Wolf over to tell them to clean the car. I mean, I'm gonna fucking what's his name, Mr. Big. I'm gonna send this guy down for. I'm gonna send the Wolf, and he shows up and he basically tells me, "Okay, clean the car." Basically, what we do is tell them to clean the car, and that's what that. We're gonna put some of this shit there, and then we're gonna put.
Which normally, I guess you wouldn't have had to do if it wasn't like the middle of the day, but you know what I mean. Yeah. I mean that whole scene is just fucking hysterical. Like I can't think of like a single scene in this that isn't like iconic or hasn't been like parodied, like all over the fucking place. I mean the cultural impact that this movie had is just It's really like hard to overstate.
You need a special gangster to show up to tell you to clean the car, though. That fucking guy.
And I love that he shows up and he's like all just there with his like coffee pot, and he has
his
like
hot girlfriend who's 20 years younger.
Like he had his tuxedo on still because it looked like they were. Where was he at an auction or like a gambling? Like what was it?
I don't remember what it was.
Because at first, like I can't.
He was in a hotel.
Yeah, there was like, but I think they were doing like a gambling party or like a poker party or something like that. So it was like some kind of fancy, like a James Bond kind of situation. Yeah. So because he had like a tuxedo on, like it had gone on all night, and then he gets the phone call, like he has to.
He's asking for coffee. Can you give me some coffee? Yeah, I'll give you some coffee. It's just fucking funny. I smell coffee when I come in. Can I get some coffee?
And then it's like all this stuff about like the really good coffee that he had. He's like, yeah, of course it's good coffee.
I don't need you to tell me how good my coffee is. Fucking Tarantino.
I let my wife buy it. It's shit.
Yeah.
Ben says, it adds realism. Most of the criminals involved in gangs like this are really, really dumb.
Yeah, I guess so.
Well, like I said, I kind of feel like this is... Because they're just kind of showing them as just like kind of regular working schlubs, you know what I mean? Yeah. It's like they're not like super cool, but in the way that they're not cool, they end up being kind of cool because you're just kind of seeing them as regular ass people just doing their regular ass jobs. You know what I mean? And it's just kind of like they're about to go like waste a bunch of people like in this thing, and they're arguing about foot massages, like whether that counts as like fucking being like too intimate.
They're talking about the metric system
and talking about the Royale with cheese, and all that kind of stuff. So they're just talking like about a bunch of stupid shit, even though they're about to go like kill some motherfuckers. Yeah. You know what I mean? Holy shit. Synth WizKid says my dad's favorite movie.
Yeah.
Way to make us feel old. Well, no, I'm just kidding. Yeah. How old was I when this movie came out? I was
in my 20s.
I was 22. Yeah. I think I was 22 when this movie came out. Yeah, 22. Maddie P said Inglourious Bastards is amazing. I liked Inglourious Bastards the first time I watched it, but when I rewatched it, it was a little too over the top for me.
Yeah, I didn't like it from day one.
Because I remember seeing that one in the theater.
Just too crazy.
I think that on Tuesday, I think Danny asked us to do. Was it Danny that asked us to do Hateful Eight?
Yeah.
So we'll probably do that.
I like that one
on Tuesday show. Yeah, I remember I've seen that a couple times, but it's been a while since I've seen that. I haven't seen it as many times as I've seen Pulp Fiction. I've seen Pulp Fiction probably.
Sam
like
Jackson's
10 times.
in that one too. So is Crussell.
That's right, Crussell's in that.
Yeah,
Crussell's in that.
Yeah.
And what's her name?
I'm
getting old again. Yeah. Oh, what's her name? Jennifer Jason Leigh. She's in it also. Synthwoods Kid said, no, I showed it to my dad. Oh, okay. So that's good. I'm just teasing you anyway. He would have loved you guys. Aw, what a nice thing to say. Mm-hmm. What a nice thing to say. Ben says, don't eat hamburgers for breakfast. I mean, I kind of feel like the concept of breakfast food is a fairly modern concept.
I'll eat that food any time of the day. We eat it coming back from the club.
Which I guess, is that technically breakfast? I guess.
When you're drunk, you're going to want fucking breakfast food, man. 3 o'clock in the morning, breakfast food. Fucking right.
Well, yeah, I actually like. I mean, I love breakfast food. It's probably my favorite thing. But breakfast food is like a lot better at 3 o'clock in the morning.
You want eggs and hash browns and fucking muffin, egg McMuffin, and just all. Yeah, hell yeah.
Yeah. See, Ben says ham and eggs is okay. Hamburgers are not.
No.
See, there's not much difference. It's just in a different configuration.
Yeah.
I mean, I get it. I get that we're like not used to like eating a hamburger for breakfast.
Yeah.
That is like a weird thing to eat for breakfast, but you know. Mark says breakfast food 24/7. I think everywhere that offers breakfast should have it all day long.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? Yeah, Zach said breakfast sandwiches. Yeah, they're the best. All right, so you getting like...
Yeah, I'm getting drunk. I've been
You're
drunk.
getting drunk?
I've
Well,
been drunk.
yeah, you got a head start.
I've been drunk, yeah.
You get a head start.
Yeah.
Okay, now tomorrow is Monday, which means it's a Haunting Mondays.
Oh, yeah, yeah.
Now... is there an episode of I was trying to think of it and I was looking at all the episode lists and stuff. Is there a haunting episode that has any jack shit to do with Christmas? Or yes, no, maybe? I'm trying to think. I was looking at the episode guides and I'm like, nothing's like standing out. Like if anybody can think of one, but if anybody has one, because I think we've done all the ones. Danny Rowling said the Unleashed.
That's Christmas?
No, but I mean maybe because he was asking about that one before. If we can't find like a Christmassy one. We'll do the Unleashed. Said White Witch. I mean, we could stretch and make that seem Christmassy. Just because it's Christmassy week. We don't have to do Christmas. I'm just saying, I just wondered if there was one that would make it easier for us to pick.
We'll do that one.
But we'll do the Unleashed. Because that's another witchy one, and we did a witchy one last week. So that should be fun. That should be fun. All right, so Tom's drunk ass got to go lay down.
Yeah.
And then we got to watch a haunting.
Okay.
And I got to take some notes on it.
All right.
You going to be all right?
I'll be fine.
Okay.
I'll be fine, Jen. We'll just go ahead and we'll shut it down.
Okay.
We'll,
shut that shit down.
Shut that shit down. I will watch any haunting right
Okay.
now. Jay's making fun of me. It's okay.
I'm not making fun of you. Don't get all sensitive.
All right.
Don't get all sensitive. All right, so we will see you guys again tomorrow for a Haunting Mondays. So be sure to tune in for that. Have a good rest of your weekend, you guys, and we'll see you again tomorrow. Good night.